Mr. Jim Burgoon. Jim's mission in life is to help people taking their next steps towards the life they truly desire. Jim's goal is to help people find their voice, activate their potential so they can show up powerfully authentic in life with confidence and passion to create a huge impact in their world. As a member of the John Maxwell Leadership Team, a military veteran, and a 15-year veteran of ministry, Jim has the background and the ability to help you achieve your goals. Jim Burgoon, are you ready to rock?
Yes, I am, sir.
He is, sir. Sir, you are now live,
Yes.
sir.
What's up, man? Sir. Yes, sir. What up, dude?
What's up? You ready? You ready, bro? You ready to bring the fire? You ready to bring the fire, baby? Got the
I'm ready for something to happen, man. I have no idea, but we're going to go and do it, right?
Fire of Phoenix behind me. Okay, so we're going to dive right in, dude. Jim Burgoon has been on the show before. He's an amazing guy, and I love him and love talking to you, man. You're awesome. Source of inspiration, tons of stories, and we are very, very similar. And he just had his birthday. What was it, 3 weeks ago?
Something like that, 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah.
It was before I went on the meditation retreat, so it felt like it was yesterday, dude. Those 10 days are kind of just like
you go out and see,
a blur.
yeah, you go out into the desert for what, 10 days?
10 days.
And life is different. It's not the same, right?
Oh my gosh, it is a blessing to be alive. Speaking of silence and the desert for 10 days, why I did that, we are talking today about the power of silence, because I saw some power in silence, self-discovery, awareness, loving myself, getting reconnected. Jim, for you, what is the power of silence and how has it impacted your life, your relationships, your business, your spirituality? How has silence made a difference for you?
Well, silence, it makes a huge difference because that's the place where transformation happens. Now, we've got to really define some stuff here, because we get in there and we say silence. Does that mean I shut up? and many of us, like, who have this high energy, we have hard times shutting up.
Yep.
No, it has less to do with talking and more about silencing the internal voices. Because we have like tons of voices. You know, you have all these voices that are hitting you, all your mentors and your 16,000 courses that you're never finishing, and all these other things that are happening. And then you've got everything inside of you that you've got that one voice that sits there and says, you're amazing. And then the other 16 voices that says, you're a piece of crap, you know? and you're dealing with all of these conflicting things inside of you.
Yeah.
And then silence, or that transformational silence, comes to a place where you're just like, you know what? Let me get at peace inside of me. Let me get to the place where everything is quiet so that I can actually confront the things I need to confront.
Wow.
You know, that I can reflect on what I need to reflect on. And it's just not more noise.
Yeah. Wow, so it's almost like the silence is a pathway to the truth, to the confrontation, to the getting to what we really want to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. If you're driving down the highway and you're in there and you've got 5,000 cars, you know, if you're out in California, so that's probably true, 5,000 cars.
500,000? Is that what you said?
500,000, you know. You've got the helicopters up there, and then you've got the radio blasting, and you've got all the signs and the lights. You're getting massive amounts of information at one time, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now think about that on the inside of us, what happens. And when we're driving, we're in there, we're like, we got to get to our destination, but we've got to navigate through all of this stuff, all this noise. If we make one wrong move, we're hitting some other car. If we make one wrong move, somebody could die, you know, if we do something. So then if you turn that visualization internally, you realize that we're all on this path, and we've got to get somewhere in this life, and we've got to navigate through those things inside of us. And all this stuff is always happening. I mean, who doesn't have problems in their lives, right? You got the bills and you've got the insecurities. And yeah, what was 30 years ago where families were not dysfunctional, dysfunctionality is normal. You know, people grow up in abusive families. They grow up living with drug addictions, all this stuff. And yet we're still told you've got to be your best possible self. And and we're being told that we have this huge destiny, but everything around us is saying, it's just a lie. It's just a lie. You're not this, you're not this, you're not this. But then when I get to a place of silence, when I take a step back, when I hide out into the desert for 10 days, or when I close my door and everything is off, and I sit down, not so much that I can be quiet, but that I can be silent, I can start looking at what I've been feeling and what I've been thinking, and I can start questioning, is that a truth in my life? Is that a lie? And when we get to those deep levels, then the things that we've been fighting for is why we buy these courses, why we get mentors, all those stuff that we pour into our lives begins to shift, and things begin to happen.
Damn.
Because we've engaged the things that we've been putting inside of us for so long.
Starts to it's like integration too. What I'm hearing is like when you have that space, that silence of all the stuff that we've been wanting and doing and action that hasn't, like you said, kind of imagine the gears aren't clicking, it's not locking in, and you get to silence, it's like boom, okay, locked in, now we can move and actually create some results.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. It's powerful, man. Powerful. Awesome. We're going super deep right off the bat. Jim Burgoon in the house. If you guys love this, throw a thumbs up, throw a heart, throw a love, throw a share, and we're going to keep this train a-rolling. So, Jim, why don't you share a little bit more about what you are doing and working on today so our audience can get connected with you?
Well, what I'm doing and working on today, I've been working with, I don't know if you guys know him, Brad Linder, incredible marketer, incredible comic book artist and things like that. We've been going through a lot of things. He's helping me produce some products.
Cool.
And, kind of going through a process of making some products. And I'm actually going to be coming out with some ebooks and a course that's going to be birthed out of this.
Oh,
with
snap.
some webinars. Yeah, man, we're about to blow it up, dude, because I want to see life change, man.
Yes.
So it can't just be me always, because I'm an out front of the guy. Like, I like to be on, lives and things like that. But now I'm going to have hardcore things that people can take with them. And that's what I've been really furiously working on, because, we want to transfer knowledge. If knowledge is portable, then knowledge needs to be written down so that you can transfer it to somebody else that they can constantly go back to it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm creating something replicable, something portable that people can grab a hold of and their lives can change. Dude,
love it. Love it, love it, love it, man. So is it going to be focused on leadership or, personal empowerment? What is the focus for it?
It's going to be kind of like this it's in two places. It's going to be this conglomeration, this convergence, because in reality, self-empowerment really is an offshoot of leadership, isn't it?
Right.
Like if I'm leading myself well, then I'm empowering myself. If I'm empowering myself, then I'm encouraging myself. And if I'm encouraging myself, I'm going out to go do something with it. So it's all this like convergence of information and life transformation in one thing. So yes, primarily it's going to be in the leadership thing. I have a real heart. I think we've talked about it a number of times. My wife was diagnosed with a mental illness. We are in the mental illness, mental health space a lot. And we really want to kind of focus in on helping people in that space as well as, going into it deeper. Because let me say it this way. There's a lot of people in that space that's forgotten. So one of our life missions and why we're building a business, and we're going to actually have an offshoot in my business to where we enter into the space that nobody else wants to enter in, or people are afraid to enter in, to bring hope and to bring life change to the people that are crying out for it but don't know how to get it.
Wow. Man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I admire you seeing a problem in the marketplace, problem that people are not being served, that a problem that's not being remedied enough, people are being forgotten, and you're coming up to really heal that pain in the world, dude. And that's I think the essence of business is to go heal those pains and solve those problems, man. Yeah, absolutely. It's about impact, man. Yeah. It's about changing a life, and everybody deserves people's time, and everybody deserves to have a life better than what they have. Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely, man. Dude, 100%. So let's keep diving into this transformational silence, because this is going to be so juicy, man. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. So feel it in my bones. So, Jim, tell us about a time where you weren't silent and you saw it was it caused problems for you, caused challenges, and how did you overcome that? How did you learn from that? What was the wisdom you gained from that? Right. All right. So one time, just thinking off the top of my head, I've got a few examples, but one of the times I was switching, it was probably 2004, 2005, somewhere in that area. So it's been a little while.
And I remember that I was transitioning colleges. I just really gotten out of the military. It was about the same time that I got into ministry, a lot of different things, but I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And maybe the listeners or the people who are watching are in that place, and you're like, got this overwhelm, like you want to go this direction and this direction and that direction. It's like, what do I do? And I remember sitting there, because I don't know if you knew this, but I actually was a music major for a while, singing and trumpet playing, and I was a music major. Yeah. But when I transitioned schools, I wanted to do a ministry degree, so I wanted to try to double major, and they gave me a lot of runaround, and they were like, well, you have to pick one, and I was like, I have no idea. And then I met this one individual. He's my best friend, and he said, man, let's just pray. And he says, just go. This is where he started introducing me to this stuff. He said, just go alone for a few minutes. Just go chill out and just be still for a minute, and it'll come to you. So I said, all right, fine. And he prayed, and I was a brand new Christian. So he prayed. I was like, what is this stuff? I don't ever know people praying over you. And I prayed, got silent, got to that place, and I knew what I needed to do. It wasn't long. And I walked in and I said, listen, I'll drop the music. I need to go into ministry because this is where my life is going. And it was like that. Like, I didn't even have a second thought, didn't even have a doubt in my mind. I wasn't even trying to hold on to something. But it was birthed out of a connection in a relationship that caused me to get to a place of stillness that allowed me to leverage my own emotional whatever was going on. And I leveraged it to the point where I got still, and then I was able to make a decision. And I never looked back.
Wow. Damn. That's powerful. It's like one of those forks in the road moments, when people are stuck and overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, paralyzed with fear, anxiety, that silence came to really rescue you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think about it this way too, is like every one of us in every day, and it doesn't matter how positive we are. You and I are real positive people, but we get into these places where we're like, we feel that fear and that overwhelm. Every one of us. And when we get to a place of silence, here's the power of this. What you're doing is you're basically stepping back and reframing. You're just taking another look at it from a different perspective. You're not in the noise. You're outside the noise. You're not being bombarded. You're looking at what's being bombarded, right? So you've got this different perspective. You've got this different view of what's going on, and you now can objectively look at it, where when you're in the middle of it, you're emotionally controlled by it.
Wow. Yeah.
And
it's detaching.
That objectivity. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, detaching emotionally so that we can get our power back.
Yeah, and it's because how often? And here's a good question for you. I mean, in all the times you've done this, in your trying to make everybody the best possible self, which is an amazing mission of yours. How often do you see people that are held hostage emotionally?
Dude, all the time. All the time. It's like that's the emotion, the fear, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the procrastination. That is like all caused by emotion, by like these it's all like the same, it's all the same energy that is in someone that causes resistance, that causes the results to not happen. Right.
And then how often have you told your clients, these people, hey man, just take a breath, just take a breathe,
dude,
and step back? How often have you said that to them?
Game changer. A lot.
Right. A lot. And what happens when you do?
They're just like, oh man.
When they listen to you and they step back, what happens?
They calm down. They say thank you. They say, okay, it's like you can hear the weight falling off their shoulders.
And it's in that place they can make the healthiest decision for their life.
Yeah.
But they have to have that step back. They have to find that peace. They have to find that silence. Sometimes they can do it on their own. Sometimes we need somebody to kick us in the butt. But the truth of the matter is you need that step it. You need that breath. You need to say, just reframe. Take a moment. Silent. Like when we were on the phone the other day, and you were like, you got silent for a minute, and I was like, was there something you were trying to ask me? And you were like, nah, I'm just being silent, man. And it was like, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and it's awkward at first, but it's a beautiful awkwardness. Like, it's not like one of those embarrassing awkward.
Right.
But you said this one powerful thing. You said, just take the moment in. Just take the moment in. Just be still. Take the moment in.
What's the gift?
That's the gift. Yeah, what's the gift? There's the T-shirt that you're going to get. What's the gift? And the deal is that that's the essence of really where transformation happens. Take a moment, take the silence in, and what are you doing right now? What do you want to do right now? And are those two things matching up? And if they're not, make the transition.
I'm curious, we wrote Transformational Silence as the headline for this. What does transformation mean with regards to silence?
Well, transformation obviously is just going from one place to another. Silence is the catalyst to help you transform.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you get into the place where transformational silence, it means you're at a place of maturity in your silence, in your walk, in your emotional state. So when you get to a place of silence, you can actually see transformation happening in your life because it's birthed from that place of silence in you.
Wow. Powerful. So it's the A to B, and then silence is the pathway that's the catalyst, the ignition, the fuel, the whole process, the spark, the fuel. Okay, cool.
And think about it like this, man, is we all have to have tools, right? To be a podcast, to be this, you got to have a video camera, you got to have the microphone. We do these things. Everybody has tools. So our focus is our tool is silence. It's the thing that we're going to use. It's the thing that we're going to get to. But the truth of the matter is the work is looking at where you are and looking at where you want to be, and having that silence as the tool to help you get there. It's helping that jump that bridge. So the silence is that tool that we need. But the real work comes from within, comes from us. You just have to get to the state to be able to have the motion.
Yeah, it's like smoke grenade, so to speak. Like, hey, I need some time. Silence. Smoke grenade.
Right?
That's cool, man. Cool. So, in terms of silence as I guess a tool, right? If we're using silence as a tool, why are people looking over it so much?
I asked myself that today. I said, why are people really not using silence? Yeah. And it's a couple things. Number one, they may not know how. They may not know it as a tool. But number two, which I think is much more the truth, is they're afraid of silence. I remember years ago, I think it was, it was early 2000s. I was in Tennessee. I was a young Coast Guardman. I was in the Marine Science Detachment. We were pollution inspectors and all this stuff. And I remember being in my house, and everything was off. And I was 20 something. This was back 2000. I was sitting there, and I was listening, and nothing was on, and the clock was dimming. And you go the clock, the old school clocks, and the sound of that clock was deafening. And I remember this, and listen to this. And so I took the clock down, and I took the battery out. I was like, no, this ain't happening to me. And then I found that the silence was more deafening. Because it was in that place when everything was off that my mind started going through all my issues that I'd been through in my life. My mind started going through all the pain that I had been through. My mind went through all the failures I went through. It went there. And at that point, I was like, I don't like this. I have to have noise. I have to have people, music, everything. Just this is not okay. And it was at the point, so I even started putting music on at sleep because I didn't want to hear the silence.
Yeah.
But as I matured, as I started dealing with issues, I found a gift. What's the gift? Silence is the gift itself. Because silence forces me to deal with those issues so that I can be the best version of myself. It forces me to take a good long look at what's right. Now, I want to say that again. What's right, because most of us just look at what's wrong, but what's right and what's wrong, and know how to make course corrections. But it comes from that gift of silence, and it has to be built. Like, most people are thinking, hey, become a monk to be silent. No, shut everything off for 10 minutes. Start with 10 minutes. Don't go 4 hours, okay? 10 minutes. Build your endurance.
Yeah.
But understand is you can do more internal work in that 10 minutes of silence than you could ever do when the radio's blaring.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that, dude. It's some people don't know that, hey, you can do this thing called silence, and most people are really afraid of it, to be with themselves, to be with their thoughts, to be with the stuff that comes up. It's like uncomfortable, and we've been sold the paradigm that we always need to be going and doing and building and creating and getting somewhere. And I think it's so awesome that we can provide this conversation for people to create that silence. And it starts with 10 minutes a day. It starts with the baby steps. It starts with just staying still, listening to your heartbeat, listening to, the sound of your stomach gurgle, whatever it is, right? Like whatever sounds you hear. And I'm curious for you, something I talked about earlier is the power of silence when there's noise going on and hearing beyond the noise. So even if you're in a place of silence, like for example, I was talking about my computer fans and my there's air conditioning in the room, I hear those noises. How do I listen to the silence in between? I'm curious about your perspective on the silence in between the noises.
Right. I'm a trained martial artist. Like I've been doing martial arts for a while, and I want to get back into it.
Yeah.
When you get into martial arts, you're awkward. You get punched in the face. Matter of fact, the first day I showed up, the sensei was like, "Don't get hit." What did I do? Somebody clipped me and cut my eye. I got hit day one, right? Fast forward that to day 30, day 40, day 50, day 255. I'm not getting hit no more.
Right.
Right? Why is that? Because what was once rote object, just keep on doing and doing and doing, became instinctual. So there's a process of building up this stamina and endurance inside of yourself, which once has to be practiced, secondarily becomes instinctive. The same thing goes for silence. If you're not somebody who is prone to it, it's not going to naturally happen. But if you build up a daily silence or a weekly or whatever you start with, and you build it in there, and it starts with 10 minutes, and now you're doing 20, 30 minutes, what happens, and the beauty of that, it becomes instinctual because you've matured internally to the place to when you're walking in noise, you're still silent.
That's good. That's good. That's good, man. This is, I was at the 10-day silent meditation retreat, and one of the principles that they said is to scan the body to be aware of the sensations that are coming up, and so many people are so unaware, unconscious of the sensations that are in their body that are going on. And we're walking down the street, we hear noises, we see billboards, signs, flashing advertisement, whatever it might be. Like, imagine if someone was just to stop and close their eyes and try to experience peace. Like, if they're not conditioned to doing that, that's nearly impossible. But if they take the time to discipline themselves 10, 20, 30 minutes a day, whatever it might be, then we carry that peace with us wherever we go. We can more easily get back to that place of centeredness, to feel the sensations, to experience the silence and the stillness, even if there's a chaotic thunderstorm or whirlwind going on around us.
Yep, absolutely. And what's interesting, a point we can bring up in this, in the mental health realm, they call that mindfulness. And my wife, part of her therapy, she goes to her doctors and she does this thing called mindfulness, and she involves the five senses. She has to be silent, but there's a sound, there's a touch, there's a taste, there's a sight, and then there's all that stuff in there, smell. And she has to learn to train her body to be in the moment. Because you understand, with mental illness, where we who don't have mental illness can be a little bit more enduring through stress and through trauma, they can't. It's easily triggered, right? So when they practice mindfulness, it's the same thing. They're being able to hold that peace inside of them because they're aware of every taste, every touch, every smell, every feeling. And what's interesting about that, and this is something I'm just kind of really thinking about as you were talking, what's interesting in what you just said about maintaining your peace with the thing, is that place of silence and that mindfulness actually intersect. Because when I'm in a place of silence where all the stuff internally is going down, I become more aware of my surroundings.
Wow.
So if I'm able to get there to silence, maybe I start with mindfulness to get to silence as a tool to get to a transformation.
Right. Because
What?
one may be more easily accessible in our current state or level of consciousness, development, discipline, whatever it might be.
Correct. So maybe we start with a little bit more of a baby step to get to the step, right? So mindfulness, and now I say the mental health, my wife practices it, but I'll tell you what, I have never seen a thing like this that I think that most people would definitely benefit from. I don't care if they have mental illness or not. They would benefit from 10 to 15 days of mindfulness training. Every single person. Because all it does is recenter you and pulls your consciousness back into the moment.
Wow. And this is using the 5 senses, right?
Using the 5 senses. Yeah, my wife and I are developing just a basic starter kit for this that I think eventually, she started an e-com store. She's going to sell it.
Nice.
But we're starting a basic kit, and she's going to write a little thing about it to kind of teach people how to do it and what she's done in the thing. But you can also Google it. I mean, it's definitely very big, and I think it needs to be bigger because it's huge.
Yeah. Wow. So that's more of a practical thing that we can look for, 5 senses, mindfulness training to be present. And that's a great step towards silence because, silence might be a serious leap for some people to be able to sit with that, even for a couple minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it might be. Some people might need to just close their eyes and learn how to chew and taste their food first.
Right?
So that's awesome, man. In terms of silence and transformation, I love the ability for me to go inward to discover myself and my truth and hear what's important to me and stay focused on the path.
Right.
I'm curious, what is an area that you think is there any area where it wouldn't where there would be too much silence? There'd be too much, going inward or trying to be too connected. Is that possible?
Let me say this. Don't be so connected to yourself that you're disconnected from people.
Wow. Okay,
because where we run into things is that a lot of people like to slough off or disconnect from people, isolate from people. Listen, again, 15 years of ministry, one of the core tenets of Christianity is you were never meant to do life alone. That's what it's, right? And we know that. We're in relationship. We're meant to be in relationship. Don't do life alone. But here's the deal, is that sometimes we can get so into ourselves and so introspective that we really miss life go by. So I think that there has to be a balance in all things. So the deal is that, yes, be introspective, but when you start feeling your disconnect to the world, when you start feeling the disconnect to your relationships, you're probably doing it too much. Because you can't live without people. You don't, like our conversation, you don't need people. Right. Ultimately, we don't need somebody to be our thing, but we can't do life without people. We were meant to be in relationship. We were created for relationship. So I think that's the balance, so because we see the monks, what did the monks do? They got so introspective that they separated themselves from the world. And now they're up on their temples and stuff, and that's what they do. I mean, is that wrong? No. People need to do what people feel the best for them is. But the deal is that there's so much beauty in this world. There's so much great things that can be experienced. And life was meant to be experienced. Yeah.
So I'm curious, is there anything about silence that is still boggling your mind? Anything that you haven't come to terms or to grips with, or that you're still grappling with? I'm curious.
I think there are challenges because in all of us, there's challenges I don't know if I want to go that deep for 2 reasons. Number one, I have a hard time sitting still. So, I wonder sometimes, for people like me, people like you who are constantly like boom, 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 boom. How much more do we need to do it? Like for people that are like my wife. My wife is an introvert. She likes being alone. She can sit in silence. I'm kind of like the bouncer, man. I'm like the Energizer bunnies that just put in like the double A batteries, the brand new ones, you know?
Yep.
And I wonder, what challenges me is that I probably need to do it twice as much than I already do. And what baffles my mind, and here's what it is, when I don't do it, I end up in ruts. I end up failing. I end up losing. I end up being burnt out. When if I would just do it, I win and I move forward. Wow. But I've convinced myself I don't need it. And I'm like, why do I need this thing? What is this thing? You know, right? I convinced myself, you don't need this. Dude, every single time. If I'm not winning, if I'm falling down, it's because I didn't spend that time. I didn't spend that time journaling or whatever, you know, silent. I didn't spend that time in prayer. I didn't spend that time just getting alone. Dude,
this is freaking gold because I was super on point with my journaling and personal development book reading back in 2015. And I was going to all kinds of seminars, right? Like dropping tens of thousands of freaking dollars into my seminar education. And I was also making at the time, the most amount of money in my life that I had made. And I noticed, like, at some point, I don't know when it was, but I stopped journaling and I stopped doing those daily disciplines that had gotten me to that point. And for about 2 years, you know, from 2015 into 2017, into like the end of 2017, I wasn't doing those habits. You know, I wasn't like disciplined with it. I might have like journaled once in a while, but it wasn't like consistent. And then I started doing it in December. You know, and since then, my life has just been the amount of joy and appreciation in my life. I attracted my girlfriend in February, like just crazy, right? With that discipline of journaling, meditating. I started meditating in December as well. Right. So it's just like crazy to see what's come from that discipline. And man, it's a mind trip. It's a mind trip.
It is, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a gift,
dude.
It's a gift. You know. In the Bible, we talk about one of the things, and here's something that is just so profound if you think about it. Everything starts with a thought. Okay? Proverbs tells me that as a man thinks he is, which means I am the culmination of my thoughts. Good or bad, who I am is based on my thoughts, right? It also says out of the abundance, not out of the abundance, it says guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Now, in the Jewish mindset, they believe that the heart was also the seat of the mind, that it wasn't just your head, it was in your heart, it was your mind. So get this. And then I'll go somewhere else with this. If I am truly to understand the profoundness of this, all the issues of my life is birthed from me not guarding my heart. Every issue I have, it's because I'm not diligently guarding what goes in and what comes out. Because I'm stinking thinking, and I have wrong thinking patterns. Matter of fact, in later in Scripture, it starts talking about, you know, us becoming like a sacrifice for Jesus, you know, those things. But then in the second part of that says is how do you become a living sacrifice for God and live for Him? It's with the renewing of your mind. So if my mind is being renewed, and if I'm renewing my mind, then guess what? As I think, I become. So with the renewal of my mind, I become my best possible self in light of Scripture. And if I'm guarding my heart, then I'm guarding that newness of myself. In order to get to those places, here's where we're going to come back full circle. You follow me so far?
Yes.
Good. We come full circle because there's one key scripture that's been a scripture of mine for probably as long as I've been a Christian. And it's Psalms 46:8. It says, be still and know that I'm God. Be still. And that still comes from a Hebrew word that means quit striving, quit running, quit trying to grab like a 2-year-old trying to grab everything.
Desperation.
Quit being desperate. And isn't that how we live our lives? We live in this desperation. And it says, be still and know that I'm God. So in my belief system, God, you know, Jesus, if I'm just still, if I'm in the silence and I'm in that relationship building with God, I can begin to renew my mind, become the best version of myself, then guard that thing and watch my life flourish in abundance because I started with being still. I started with being silent. Let that sink for a second. Yeah. That was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the big part for me is like the guarding it. That's not a philosophy that's really been for me, guarding my heart, guarding my, like, I think we're aware of, at least for me, I've been aware of the mental trash and like, oh, if there's a movie playing that has like negativity or stuff that I don't want to program my mind with, then I avoid that. But it hasn't really been, to be judicious with if someone's speaking negatively, speaking toxicity, speaking trash into the space, that I guard that I say, hey, listen, like, stop, whatever I would say, stop being negative, or, hey, let's focus on the positive. How are you going to transmute that? Whatever it might be. But
absolutely,
it's a trip, man.
Listen to this. The rest of that verse says, guard your heart with all diligence.
Yeah.
That diligence word, diligent, be in there, do the little things that create massive action every single day. Listen, here's the thing that people don't understand. Trash in, trash out. What you allow into you will come out of you.
Yep.
Right? So if we're not diligently guarding that, if we're not diligently guarding our heart, if we're not diligently guarding our time of journaling, our time of silence, somebody's going to take that because we give it to them.
Yeah.
Set that boundary, man. And it's not you. Every one of us don't think about guarding our heart. We're like, we're compromising, and then we wonder why we're in our issues.
Yeah. Man. Profound stuff. I'm curious, for everyone who's listening, watching, what has been most valuable? What has opened up for you? Do you have questions for myself or Jim? Because this is deep. This is deep stuff. Deepening. So, what is a way to speed up silence? Like, how do we make silence more effective, more transformational?
By engaging it. Okay. I don't like the whole speed up terminology because, I mean, if you really think about it, if you illegitimize the process, then you lose the power of the results. So, and that's the problem. We live in a microwave generation. Everybody wants it like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But if you really want life change, if you really, really want your life to be what you know it could be, then don't illegitimize the process. Engage the process. Get there and wake up in the morning, or 5 minutes before you go to bed, and say, you know what? I'm shutting it all off, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to be silent. Whatever thought may come up, I'm going to wrestle it down. Whatever thing may come at me, whatever negative or positive comes near, I'm going to engage it. I'm going to be like, listen, I'm going to either shower a truth on a lie, or I'm going to receive a truth that comes up. Whatever happens, engage it. Don't be afraid of it. We're so afraid of ourselves. But what if the truth of ourselves is that there's that poem, and I don't remember the whole poem, and I don't even know who wrote it. But what if ourselves, that light inside of us, if we really accept that and engaged ourselves to the point that our light shone, that gave permission for others' lives to shine, and that the world is so much different because we engaged ourselves and we allowed that light to shine inside of us. We accepted our power. Not that we have power, that we accepted our power. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're so great about, hey, I have power, but there's a difference between saying I have power and that I'm going to accept it. There's a difference in saying I have healing and saying I'm receiving and accepting healing. It's the same thing like we talk about in church. There's a difference between saying I know about Jesus and I gave my life to Jesus.
Yep.
There's a huge difference in that. I gave my life to Jesus. I accepted every positive and everything that came from that. So I'm all in.
Yeah.
When it comes to my faith, I'm all in when it comes to personal transformation. I'm all in. Why? Because I see the benefit. I see the better side of tomorrow, of what could be. So I'm gonna go into what is, and I'm gonna go to what could be. I'm gonna walk that process, no matter how painful it is at times. And believe me, I want to throw things at times. And believe me, there are times I want to punch people in the throat.
Yep. Why the throat?
Because it's the squishy center. And and it's one of those things where, but I'm walking the process, come what may. I'm walking the process.
Yeah.
Some days I fail. Some days I'm not silent. Some days I may be too silent. But I'm walking the process, because my mentor said to me one time, he said, what could you do today that would make future Jim happy and glad that you did it? And I said, that's a great point. So that's how I live a lot of what I do, is what can I do today that would make future Jim super happy and the best that they could be? That future Jim would look back and say, thank you, past Jim. And one of those things, man, in the context of our conversation, is developing that silent time. Giving yourself permission to develop the place where your life will change.
No. The place and the routine and what I hear as well is like the vision of your life, and then execution on that vision. The vision of, this is who I am. The identity shift of, this is who I am. I meditate. I spend 5 minutes. I spend 10 minutes. I spend 15 minutes. It's like you see it, and then you are relentless in the achievement and execution of that discipline for the purpose of, spiritual attainment, enlightenment, purity,
or whatever you attach that thing to. Yeah. And that's really what it is, man. We look at ourselves. I mean, if I look at myself in the mirror, I love myself. Okay. I really do like myself. It took me years to get to that place, guys. Okay. But I like myself, but I know there's more to me. I know that there's another better version of me. It's called maturity. So I'm just going to do the things I need to do now so that I can get into that place. Because I want that place. I want to be the better version of myself. I want to be the more mature version of myself. I want to be able to impact lives and do all this stuff. But there's a lot of things I got to work through right now. My own limiting beliefs, my own insecurities. And you know where I work those out at? The places of silence.
Yeah, that's it, man. And I think that there's a power in communication too. Silence, we can communicate with ourselves with the different voices. Like you said, we can either have that truth come up, or if there's a lie or doubt, insecurity, disbelief, whatever, deal with it, release it, let it go, whatever it might be. Not acknowledge it as something that's real, and just say, hey, you're just a figment of my unconscious imagination, whatever it might be. So it's super important to have that practice and the discipline, and just execute on it daily. I think that's the biggest thing, is have the rigorousness, be the person who steps into that power, the power to create your reality by having the silence, by having the space, shift your identity so that is now your reality. Right.
100%, man.
Dude.
I would do a 100% emoji if I could on air.
It's all right. You got your own emoji called Jim-oji.
That's it, man. The Jim Ninja.
I love it, man. I love it. What other profound truths have you discovered recently or rediscovered?
How long do we have?
Long enough.
I think one of the things is being reconnected to saying I'm more than what I am. sometimes we get into this place, and I know I do, where I'm like, I'm doing all I can do. There's nothing more I can do. And then I realized that that's just a lie I believe based on some things I went through. Because there's always more that I can do, right? I may reach the limit that I can physically do, but what about asking somebody else? What about the resourcefulness? What about going beyond that and getting other people involved? So there's always something more. And I think for a long time, I got into this mindset where I was, this is the best I've got. And then recently, just kind of getting through things and doing my silence, doing my prayers and stuff, the best I've got was my lazy response to saying, this is the best I'm going to give. Not the best I've got. It's the best I'm going to give. And I don't want to live in the best I'm going to give. I want to live in the best that I've got.
Wow.
And I think being reconnected to that, like I've spent the last year pretty much going through hell, through a lot of different emotional things and just, family things with the medical conditions, my own and my wife's, the movie. I mean, just went through a lot of stuff. And I think in that, it was both a time where I lost who I thought I was, and I rediscovered who I really am.
Wow.
Because we have this image. I mean, let's just say it this way: we have this image of who we think we are, and we've convinced ourselves of that, and we've really lied to ourselves because we want to be the person in that image, in that imagination. But we forget that the person that we are is so much bigger than that. We settle, or we do this, or we do that. But the truth of the matter is, man, is we're so much bigger. We're so much more. And there's so much. I mean, we always come back, and your big thing is about going back and owning your power. And I love that about you. Is my big thing is stop being held hostage by the things that are controlling you. And it's in essence, it's the same thing. And I think maybe, this year has really kind of taught me is don't be held hostage by your limiting beliefs. That don't be held hostage by who you think you are. Look in that mirror and realize who you really are. And who you really are is so much bigger, so much more beautiful. It doesn't matter if you're 300 pounds. Look at what really is there. Do you need to get healthy? Absolutely. You don't want to die of cardiac and all this stuff. I mean, there's some natural consequence. But look at the beauty of who you are. Maybe we, like us, we're business owners. We've got coaching businesses, and we write and those things. Don't look at the failures of what you've done. Look at the potential of who you're going to reach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's just so much more depth to us if we would just acknowledge it. And realize that somewhere in there, we've settled with this belief that this is who I'm going to be. This is all I'm going to be. And we've caused that limiting belief to really dictate our lives. That's why everybody lives at such a low level in their lives. It's because they've said, this is the extent of who I am. That's why guys like you who are doing this and said, man, be your best possible self, move beyond, move beyond. In essence, that's what you're doing. You're coming into that low level thinking. You're saying, look, get off your rear end. Stop believing this lie. Stop believing this false identity, and get into your realness.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's it, man. The illusion. I think that's the big thing a lot of people are sharing about these days is break free from the illusion of what you think you're supposed to be, or how you think you're supposed to act, or the shame that you're afraid of, or the societal expectations that we're supposed to have. Like, silence is freedom. Silence is the gateway to freedom, to transformation, to really hearing who you are, your truth, living your truth, your greatest possible self. Silence is a catalyst to so much, dude. Transformation in any area, anything we want.
Yeah, man. I'm right with you on that one.
Yeah. How do you see yourself applying silence over the next year?
I want to get better at it. I want to be, I'm going to definitely be doing it more regularly. I don't do it as regularly as I like to. I don't believe in the enough. I think the last time I was on the show, we talked about the enough lie. I just don't do it regularly, and I need to own that. I know that most people know what they need to do. They just don't do it.
Right.
And I'm the same way. I know what I need to do. The difference is that I want my life to be what I see my life becoming. So I need to do the things that I've been putting off, such as silence and journaling and getting back to that. I used to journal all the time. Now I journal rarely, because it was in those places that I was able to engage the depths of my thoughts to get into a place of, saying confrontation and saying, look, Jim, that was stupid of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here's what you should have done. Here's what you should do. Here's what you could do. And here's how you're going to make it right.
So what kind of a schedule of commitment do you want to commit to for yourself?
I'm going to do mine, and I have to think of the time of day. I really am better at night. Like I get up early in the morning, but I stay late at night. And I like late at night because nobody's home. Everybody's home. Everybody's asleep.
Right.
You don't have little munchkins running around saying, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." I love my kids to death. My wife is asleep, so nobody needs me. Like the internet's off, and so I'm going to commit to doing it every night. I'm going to start with probably 20 or 30 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. Now, because I've done it before and I've done it a lot, so 10 minutes is fine. But I'm going to do 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm just going to journal. And I'm going to sit there, and I'm just going to be silent. And we're going to go.
Do you think like 10 minutes of journaling and then 15 of silence, or 10 minutes of silence, is that like, do you think a specific structure works best for you, or what? How does it work best?
I flow. Like I like structure, but I'm a guy who likes to flow in and out of things.
Okay.
So I'm not going to set a clock that says 10 minutes of sitting still and then 10 minutes of journaling. But what I'm going to do is, and how I do it is, I'll sit there, like I'll open up my Bible, I'll start reading, and then once I've come, like I read until I get an aha, like until I know this is what I feel that God is really kind of impressing upon me. Then I'll push the Bible away. You see my hands. I talk with my hands and you can't see them. I push the Bible away and then sit there and meditate and be silent on it. And then when I get to a place of, okay, I really feel like I understand or something was revealed to me, then I move into journaling and say, okay, let me start writing down what I saw. Let me write down what I feel, what I hear. Because in that process, and that's a process for me, in that process, because I believe that in my time I have to fill myself with scripture. Right. Because I believe scripture changes you. Okay. And so I fill it with scripture. We sit, we meditate, we're silent. We let scripture bathe us, speak over us, things like that. And then we journal it. And in that process is where the greatest life changes happen.
Yeah.
And I got to get back to that. And I'm going to start doing that every day.
Beautiful.
You heard it live here.
That's right, man. Hey, update the mastermind group too, that you're going to be doing that.
Okay, I will.
Okay, post it in there. Cool, man. Any other takeaways you feel like our audience should receive, or final wrap-up points for this session?
I guess I would first start and ask the question, do you want to change your life? Because that question is the most important question you'll ask. Because everybody will be like, yeah, right, I want to change my life. I'm asking people to be real serious about it. Do you want to change your life? And to answer that with conviction. If you're comfortable, say no. If you're like, I hate where I'm at, I want to change, you say yes. You get convicted. You get really in. Throw it all in. Because silence and all this stuff that we talk about, the reality of it, unless you're all in, you'll give up on it. So you've got to make the first decision that if you truly want to change your life, over the last hour, we just gave you something that will radically change your life. It will. You do it as we said it on the show, and it will change your life. You will look back 6 months from now, a year from now, and you won't recognize the person who you were as opposed to who you become. You'll be like, I was that guy, I was that girl. But you have to go all in. You have to say, I'm going to do this. Yes, you will fail. That's where grace comes in. You forgive yourselves on the day because you're building habits. You forgive yourself. You have grace, but you don't make that an excuse. And you just pick it up and you do it every day. When you fail, you pick up the next day. And you keep moving, because remember, our deal is I'm all in or I'm not in at all, because I want my life to change. And we just gave the practical steps on how to do that, but it comes down to the decision: are you all in? Do you want your life to change?
Amazing, man. Dude, Jim Burgoon, you're a freaking powerhouse, and you're going to start tonight, right?
Yep, I already did some this morning, but I'll start tonight again.
Cool, man. Love it. And how do people stay connected with you, man? What do we want them to do next?
I am over on my business page. I want people to be able to connect to that, because eventually I want people to come into my group with me. Right. I hold a group where we do trainings and we do all sorts of wonderful, yummy juiciness to help change your life. It's called the Breathe Again Nation. And, because that's a whole other story we can take another hour for. But the deal is that my whole life, I want to help people breathe again. Get out of the overwhelm. Get to the place where they can breathe again. And my coaching page is on Jim Burgoon Coaching. If you go on Facebook /Jim Burgoon Coaching, and every other information is there. Like the page. Let's connect. Let's talk. And let's see if there's anything more that I can help you with.
Awesome. Beautiful. Jim, you're the man. Keep up the heat. I'm excited to see who you become in the next year because of your discipline with these habits and your discipline going inward, discovering yourself, loving yourself even more. And, dude, you already give so much, so just keep doing that, and everything else is going to take care of itself.
Appreciate that, my friend. Remember, we're in this together, dude.
Yes, we are.
I have your number.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Awesome, man. We'll see you soon, okay?
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Take care.